It is time. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. If you don't know who I am, my name is Emely Marlene and I'm 22 years old, born and raised in LA, and this is my YouTube channel. I am so excited. I've been wanting to do this for so long. This is the 5th video that I'm filming in about a week and a half, and I'm hoping that I don't have any problems with this one, and this will be the one that I post to YouTube for the first time. So this video is just going to be me talking about myself, my passion for makeup, what I want to do with my channel. I'm not really going to talk about the products that I'm using, but I will definitely have everything that I use listed down below. So if you guys want to learn a little bit more about me and who I am and what I want to do with my channel, then just keep watching. So I'm going to start off with my foundation. Today So I got into makeup probably around the end of middle school. I was in a drill team, and for a drill team we had to wear like really bright colors to stand out during a performance. The classic black liner in the waterline. So wearing wing liner. It was very much the little sister syndrome. My sister wore wing liner, so I wanted to wear wing liner, so I started wearing wing liner. I wore wing liner every 4 years. And do anything on my brows, mascara, nothing else, just a wing liner. And I don't have that many brows. Wing liner and then just nothing else. Senior year, I think I started wearing more and more makeup. As I got to college, that's when I started watching a lot more makeup. I started doing makeup on my started my second Instagram. Often, if you noticed over the past photos, which is something I definitely I'm doing a YouTube. My summer after freshman year, I recorded a video. In my room, I had placed a blanket on my makeup, and that was my little makeup station. And I recorded a video and I ended up hating it. I felt so embarrassed and then I deleted it. And I definitely regret not posting it. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but my imposter syndrome is knowledge is power. If I don't have everything prepared, if not everything looks good, if I don't have all the right tools, then I feel like something's a failure and then I give up. The video was not a bad video. Like, looking back at it, it was not a bad video. It was pretty decent for what I was doing. But because it wasn't like this perfect production with this nice background and lighting, I pretty much scrapped it. And even now I've been doing that with my YouTube channel. I could have already done all these things. I could have already posted. I mean, granted, this is like my 5th time recording. Hopefully this one turns out right. But I could have already posted. But I kept stalling. And I'm not a perfectionist either, so like I really do just give up. Like, it's not like I work until I have everything and it's perfect. Like, I give up because I don't have everything and therefore I never produce what I say I want to produce. But I'm just at a point where I'm like, I'm over it. I'm going to be posting. I'm going to figure this out. I'm not making any money off of this. I just want to have fun with makeup and talk about things that I care about. I want to not just, you know, talk about makeup technique, I also want to talk about other things related to the makeup industry and even issues that are not related to the makeup industry. And so for today's video, I wanted to talk about a couple of those things. So for today, I really want to talk about 3 specific topics that, for one, that I care about beyond just makeup, but that I also want to incorporate in my content. Like I said, I want to do stuff beyond just showing you makeup. The first thing that I want to talk about and address is diversity and inclusion within the makeup industry. You know, most brands and most companies throw around those terms not really knowing what they mean. And I think the best way to start talking about this is with shade ranges for foundations. You know, a lot more brands are coming out with foundation ranges that, you know, have 60 foundations that claim to go from the lightest, include everybody. But here's the issue. While, you know, a brand may have a lot of different shades, you know, that are very diverse, are they inclusive? Do they work for people? Well, undertones. Certain brands come out with, you know, 60 foundation shades and half of them turn out to be super orange color correctors that a lot of darker skinned people can't use. In situations like that, just goes to show that it's not really about diversity and inclusion. It's also about, do the darker shades actually work for Black people? Who is working behind the scenes? Who's a part of this production? Is it just white people trying to think of this is what's gonna look good? Or does it include people of all skin tones trying to develop not only the formulation but also the shade range? You know, when it comes to the beauty community, especially looking from the outside in, a lot of people think it's all drama. But I think that there is two types of drama. I'll say drama, but I don't think it's the right word. The first kind of drama involves influencers that are at the top, ones that are making millions of money and are the most well-known. I don't even have to name them. You probably already know who I'm talking about. And that's that kind of drama where there are petty fights, you know, where fans and stans will fight to the death to defend these influencers that at the end of the day will still be making a ton of money and really could care less about these people that are defending them online. That I try to actively not pay attention to. The other type of drama I think is drama that is relevant. In the past month or so, we've seen a lot more Black influencers talking about their experiences with brands and how they've been treated. You know, stories about Black influencers talking about their pay rate and how much they were being paid by different brands that might have said, you know, we don't have that much of a budget, yet we're paying the amount they were being paid. That is actually relevant. We're talking about artists and creators that don't have as many followers as those at the top, you know, aren't making as much money, who have to really advocate for themselves. With brands, it's like who's working in the background, who's working at your corporate and executive levels, how many people of color do they have working in their offices, how many Black people do they have working in their offices, particularly in the corporate and executive levels. Those are the conversations that we need to be having that are important and relevant. And I will say, like, as somebody who has such a small platform, it is kind of difficult to hold brands accountable. Diversity and inclusion is not just within the products themselves. Diversity and inclusion must carry itself through all aspects of the industry. And that's why it's so important to support movements like the #ColourPopMeBlack movement. ColourPop is a very accessible and affordable brand with a very wide Me Black movement, which was started by Neon MUA and Killer King. It was about, hey, look, to change. And that movement really inspired me wanting to do my recreation series. I recreated looks from 10 different Black artists. And I will just say real quickly, I enjoyed that series so much. It was so much fun. I was so inspired. I had the opportunity to interact with some of the artists when they saw my recreations, which was honestly just so sweet for them to take the time out of their day to like and comment like that. It was a nice feeling. I wanted to be really intentional when I did that series to post the artist's look before share my work. The purpose in my recreation, tag the artist, been like, oh, here's the artist I was inspired from, go look at their work, or, you know, put their look after mine. The intention of the series was for you to see these artists on your timeline. Brands are less likely to repost looks from Black artists and creators, and that contributes to the erasure of Black artists. I wanted to make sure that these artists were seen, to, you know, support these artists. And I did that no swipe over to see my look, which is perfect of the series. The purpose was to showcase Black artists. They're less likely to be reposted by big brands. So I wanted to be a part of changing that. When you go to my feed, yeah, you see my looks, but you also see that need to be recognized and that need to be showcased. You know, I've seen so many GoFundMes on Twitter that have surpassed their goals. And if you go to see all the donations, you see a lot of small donations. You see $5, $20, $15, $10. And for me, while I do have a small platform, me doing that work for that series, you know, equates to those $5 in that fundraiser, because all of it adds up over time. That's one thing I really want to focus on. That I'm constantly doing little bits of work I enjoy, which is makeup. So the next thing I want to talk about, the second thing that I wanted to talk about is in regards to sustainability. You know, I'm not perfect when it comes to being the most sustainable person. I'm not perfect when it comes to making sure that I am buying the best products and ingredients. I try to, but I know that I'm not perfect. And when it comes to the makeup industry, in regards to sustainability, I mean things like packaging, what ingredients are being used, are they sustainable, are they being ethically sourced? Those are some of the things I want to learn more about and kind of find more brands that are being environmentally conscious. Because makeup itself is a very wasteful industry. You use a mascara every few months and that is, you know, another product that has to be thrown away. Another example is giant PR boxes that brands send to influencers. You know, these excessive boxes that hold like 3 items and end up going to waste anyway. They serve no purpose. I have one really brief example that's kind of boring, but I had ordered from e.l.f. a couple months ago. I made a very large order and there was an item missing. I emailed them saying I didn't want to have to waste packaging and all this energy just to send me this one small item. I'm okay if I get like store credit, or you know, I can just buy it at a later time. Maybe I should have specified just give me a refund, but whatever. But the next day I had already gotten an email that they were already sending me the item and I was like, well, that's not what I asked for, but that's okay. I get it. About a week later, I got this giant box that I knew it was from e.l.f. because it was the same box that my order had come in. And I stopped and thought, did they send me like extra product? Like, why is this so big? Mind you, their boxes have several layered flaps to make sure that none of the product inside falls out. And I opened it up and it was just the card that brands send when you order from them, and it just says thank you for ordering, and it had the small glitter shadow. It was such a waste of a box for this one tiny item. So I emailed them back and I said thank you for sending me the item, I appreciate it, but this packaging is really excessive. Like, this is really unnecessary. You know, they emailed me back saying thank you for your feedback, we'll forward it to whatever department. Now, will that do anything? Who knows? When it comes to these issues, whether it be about diversity or we live in a capitalistic, consumeristic society. If where brands need to be more inclusive, where brands need to be, they're still going to be making their money. Maybe there's enough people that will email or actually make a change. Packaging is a very on the surface. Deeper in regards to ingredients, it's even harder. Where they source these ingredients. You know, brands work with manufacturers, and manufacturers work with other companies to and so forth. You know, I want to do research on brands that are being make this issue that much more difficult. So that's why I plan on doing more research on specific ingredients, because my goal isn't to cancel brands and say, you know, don't buy from this brand, they're really bad. My point is, let's see if we can find an alternative. Let's see if we can advocate for, you know, to take out specific ingredients and use alternatives to it. Which leads me into the other part of the production of makeup and skincare when it comes to labor. It's not just about if the ingredients are sustainable, but it's also, is the manufacturing and production and sourcing of these ingredients ethical? The exploitation of labor when it comes to sourcing these ingredients. I'll reference fast fashion for a moment. Like I said before, if a brand is not actively trying to show you and tell you how they are ethically sourcing the materials for their products, most likely than not, they aren't paying attention to that. They're not caring about that. There's a reason why Forever 21 is so cheap, and it's because most of their products are being sourced and put together by slave labor or people that are being underpaid. People already don't like to talk about the environment. People even less like to talk about labor and labor exploitation and slave labor. There are people who are enslaved both in the US and around the world that have produced and put together something that you are wearing, using, or touching on a daily basis. That is reality, whether it be fashion, care, agriculture, tech. None of those industries are exempt from the use of slave labor. every single step of the process from when the product is being sold. Ingredients of that product were sourced. So I'll give you the is a mineral. Mica is a mineral that is used in eyeshadows to give. That's probably a really bad description of it. I'll leave articles down below about it. And what research has shown in regards to about a fourth or a third of mica used in cosmetic products were mined by child slaves. That mica was mined by a child slave. And again, it's not about being like, I'm never going to buy from this brand again, they're horrible, you know, yada yada, because a lot of brands use these products, use ingredients that oftentimes are not ethically sourced. You would essentially have to boycott the entire industry, which you can do, but at the end of the day, they're still going to be making millions of dollars and they're still going to be using those products. So how do we try to change that culture? So if brands are going to be making a ton of money regardless of me boycotting, specifically with the makeup industry, this is not, you know, about all systems in our pressured enough and monetarily incentivized to change, they will. So if enough people, it took a very long time for ColourPop to ever recognize the ColourPop Me Black movement. ColourPop, on every single post, you would see people commenting about, why haven't you recognized these artists? Why haven't you addressed this issue yet? You've been completely silent about it, yet you've been now more black artists onto your feed, so what's going on? It's a really difficult process, you know. Again, even though I have a very small platform, even though I only have those $5, I can contribute that larger conversation to make that difference. I want to do a video where I talk about different ingredients that were most likely, you know, and what products have those ingredients. And what I'll mention real quick is something that I don't want to do is tell you to not buy from these brands, to cancel these brands. It is up to you if you still want to buy and try to start a conversation with these brands to take out some of these ingredients that might to the environment or difficult. But you know, we've even seen a transition in brands, you know, becoming cruelty free and vegan. There is a demand for this change and there's a constant push for change. It will happen. You know, us boycotting isn't gonna tons of money. That being the case, you can do two different things. You can change their practices and what they're doing, advocate and demand that they increase, demanding that they diversify their posts, that they diversify their products. If a brand has shown you that they don't want to change, that and all the more power to you. Another thing you can also do is support smaller brands. You know, it's extremely important that, yes, these big makeup companies are still going to be making their money, and so therefore it's about understanding where you're putting your money. Big there. You know, there are a ton of brands that are black owned, LGBTQ plus owned, POC owned, women owned. And something I really want to point out is that while we're talking about, you know, diversity and inclusion, environmental sustainability, and the ethical use of labor, while these topics are also not going to hold all brands to the same standard. In my opinion, I think it's easier and more of larger brands to use ethical labor practices and own, why aren't you being sustainable? It is much more difficult for owned, women owned, LGBT and to get funding. They also are making less money off of the consumer compared to these big giant brands. To waste and of black people, yeah, I wouldn't be participating in it, but I would change it. And so when it comes down to it with my channel, that's what a very small platform, I have the ability to advocate. So I just finished my brows off camera because they require a lot of concentration. I use the Patrick Ta brow wax, and then I use the Mented Cosmetics brow pencil. By the way, Mented Cosmetics is a black-owned brand. I'm gonna list a bunch of different black-owned brands that I've bought from down in the description box below. Soft brown look. Nothing too crazy, nothing too complicated. I might have talked about things out of order. I mean, I wrote like an entire outline of everything that I want. I definitely want to talk about issues that are not directly related to the, you know, if you're a friend of mine who doesn't do makeup, you can still watch my videos and learn something. I want to have important conversations with everybody and make this a place of like learning and growing. I never want to portray myself. When it comes to diversity and inclusion, I understand that I am a non-black, white-passing, cisgendered woman. To advocate for a dismantling, actively trying to unlearn my own biases in makeup. Conversations about diversity and inclusion and ethical industry is not a new conversation. By so many artists who constantly use their platforms to speak on these issues, and I'm still actively ways to incorporate that into my channel, because I don't only when there's a dedicated regular content. I don't want normal content and then my content related to advocacy. I want to make sure that donate organizations petitions to sign, like another day. My lips, and then we'll wrap things up. Black-owned brands, as well as all the details of subscribe, share, turn on your notification bell. Please comment down below any video suggestions, whether it be makeup related or not makeup related. Like, I definitely I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I will see you on the next one. Bye. I'm using my This is so ugly. This is so trashy.